In this series, I'm going to be looking at various types of places people have posted to the internet. And abandoned places, most people know, could be small house, small area, or even an entire town. While not necessarily abandoned, may only have a very small population, or even, stretches of road have posted abandoned places in various other videos. I wanted to explore it more in depth. So let's have a look and see what we can find. In this first one is a Western themed style theme park in Japan. It was originally opened in the 1970s and closed in 2007. One of the people in the comments of this one stated that the park was heavily in debt as the expansion, I guess, overtook the amount of money they were bringing in. As you can see in this first picture, is a one-third scale of Mount Rushmore, and apparently in 1995 this cost $27 million to build, allegedly. This person also states that I guess in 2007 the owner of the park decided to, I guess, shut down for maintenance, and as the old saying goes, they never reopened. So let's have a look at these pictures. Some funny costumes, yeah, or bear or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty eerie when you look at this sort of thing. Thinking that from 1970 right through to 2007, people were being entertained. It's pretty cool to see how much it's decayed since 2007. You know, I guess, yeah, pandas obviously being Japan. It's cool, but also I guess sort of that creepy feeling about what was once, something people used to enjoy. And obviously, as I said, it's a very heavily themed Western style park. Some obviously more Japan themed arcade games. It's a shame that they've just been left to decay, but still cool nonetheless. Western gun shooting range. Suppose everyone's experienced this sort of thing at most theme parks. And here's an overview by a drone. As you can see, it's definitely a good size theme park. Let me know how you feel about this one in the comments, and on to the next. In this next one, the OP has posted pictures from an abandoned maximum security prison. So it's definitely says something about that being a lot of keys. Imagine being a guard, when you come in for work, you're assigned a number, the amount of keys that you have to deal with is insane, and you've obviously got to keep track of those keys, or all hell would break loose, you know, or being, a guard up in a guard tower. Definitely chilling to think about it, you know, especially if someone were to try and break out. Look at the amount of fences with barbed wire they would have to cross. It's insane, and that's not to say at some point you're not going to be spotted, crossing across all of this. It's just surreal, That's a pretty cool picture. I'm guessing this is a map of the prison. Very, very intense if you think about it. Barbed wire everywhere. It's a shame, though, how I guess overgrown it is and the fact that they can't repurpose it for something else. I mean, as obviously being in the US, as most people know, they are repurposing, or I should say, moving away from state-owned prisons to private prisons. As someone in the comments said, private prisons, I guess there's more money in it, which is probably what leads to the overcrowding of the prison system. Here is a big overview to show how truly massive this prison actually is. It's pretty intense, and obviously, if you're a criminal, pretty daunting. Let me know how you feel about this one in the comments. And on to the next. In this next one, the OP has posted these pictures of some Mayan ruins from Alten Hall in Belize. I think there's always something to say about any sort of ancient ruins, especially, whether it's the Egyptians, Mayans, whatever. The fact that they were able to build these impressive structures for anything like cranes or, what we would consider modern day cranes. I'm sure they had, ancient techniques to do it. Well, they did, but, it's still pretty cool when you look at these impressive structures and think to yourself, just wow, the fact that they were able to achieve this, back then is insane. I mean, steps maybe not perfectly level, but definitely, you know, of top quality standard. So impressive. I mean, when you look at those steps, it definitely looks like they were designed like what we would consider steps today. That's not to say they still didn't have standard dimensions like what we have. I mean, they definitely did. It's just impressive. Let me know how you feel about this one in the comments, and on to the next. In this next one, the OP has posted photos of an abandoned house. The OP states that he's visited this house many times since 2016, and each time he goes, the house is just as surreal as it was the last time. He says that in 2016 there were many, many items visible in the house, and since then, a lot of them have seemingly disappeared for whatever reason. As we can see in this first photo of the dining room and kitchen in the background, you can definitely see the amount of decay in the house. As we move along, here's another photo. The OP also states that in this house he's found a lot of children's toys from 1980, or I should say the 1980s. Here's a few things. Just the amount of decay in the fact, an old wall phone, the I should the wallpaper, you know, what I'm guessing maybe, people gathered around, a bedroom, a rocking chair. And again, just the amount of healage on the walls. An old children's toy, whether or not the OP placed it there for the photo, who knows, or whether it was sitting there. Either way, it just speaks volumes as to the fact that all of the children's toys were just seemingly left unexplained. A bear, a toy car, a children's phone and microwave. One of those thingies. Can never remember what they're called, but still pretty cool. I know I had one. Patrick Swayze and Dirty Dancing, pretty cool. It was definitely a good movie. But I mean, when you look at the furniture in this, it definitely speaks to the 1980s. More children's toys, Barbie, Smurfs, you know, maybe a teenager's bedroom, mm, you know, has that sort of vibe to it. That's definitely a kid's bedroom. Now I know these are definitely newer than the 80s, 1990s, early to mid 90s with these ones. Yeah. And then obviously from the outside you can see how overgrown the house is. And then an aerial shot. And basically it's like the house has just seemingly been forgotten. Let me know how you feel about this one, as it's pretty sad and creepy as to what happened to, or I guess what could have happened to the family that lived there. Let me know in the comments how you feel, and what's the next. In this next one, the OP has posted an abandoned house in Wisconsin. The OP states from what they could tell and find out, The previous owner passed away in 2015 and has since basically been left to Mother Nature to reclaim. As we can see, it's very, very mossy in this lounge room. It's pretty cool with that fireplace, though. You can see the roof falling in. You know, I guess this is another angle or another room, maybe. Where you can definitely see the roof has given in. You know, this one, yeah, as someone in the comments said, I wouldn't trust that roof, and I wouldn't trust it either. It's obviously, the people who own the house have cleaned it out and, things what they didn't want, I'm guessing, which is pretty slack. Nonetheless, a few little items here and there, as you can see, but it's definitely sad to see a house left in such disrepair. You know, get the floor, you can see no carpets. The basement, would not trust that to save my life. You know, I can see wood paneling being ripped out. Again, it's just sad to see places left to such disrepair. I mean, this room really looks like one of the only rooms that isn't completely unusable. That's not to say it isn't unusable. Another cool shot of that first room with the moss and the plants growing in it. And then the outside, completely overgrown. From the side view. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but it makes you wonder something in such disrepair is allowed to remain standing because obviously that house is no longer, suitable, even if you were to gut it and redo it. Maybe just someone's holding on it for land value. Who knows? But it's sad to see something left to that state. Let me know how you feel about this one in the comments, and on to the next. In this last one, the OP states this is an abandoned red lobster. As you can see, it's still light in the restaurant. There's still lights on. All the furniture is still there, and the carpet. It's pretty eerie when you think about the fact that this was once an active restaurant. Obviously, certain things are empty, like the lobster tank, fair enough. But it's still eerie to see the fact that they've basically not cleaned it out. You know, think about it, on a Saturday night, this would be a very busy dining hall or dining room. Two, three, four people in each of these booths, people at these tables, and servers running up and down like madmen. You know, two and two, another, two, three, or four people in these booths, and servers running back and forth, drinks, food, you name it. The same goes for the bar area. How many people have eaten at a Red Lobster? I know I have, and or any really generic restaurant like a Red Lobster will always be busy with people and servers and waitresses and everything, really. You know, it's just, yeah, boggles the mind that they would, I guess, if they're not going to use it, why keep it like this and not just gut it? You know, it really says something. Also, the fact that they've kept the lights on in the place. Maybe they're intending to, I guess, remodel it or reuse it. Who knows? Because the OP really didn't state if they knew anything about what was going to occur with this location. But again, it's still pretty cool nonetheless. In the kitchen, obviously, certain things in the kitchen are gone, but a lot of stuff is still there. Obviously, the cooks and all that will have to be redone if it's ever reused. But let me know how you feel about seeing this one in the comments. Until next time, digital archaeology.